Thank you. Thank you, Sanjana, for giving this opportunity to interact with the young people and young faculties. And so, this is I just want to attract people to this third pole research in future, because if you talk about the monsoon today also, if you see that one IITM has published a paper, in that they are telling that climate is one factor, but the human induced aerosol and black carbon soot, they are altering the monsoon and the delay or the intensity. So, it is not that only climate, so we can interfere with the climate also. So, that is recently we are linking that, and also that the 800 to 900 million peoples are living in this third pole, depending upon that after the Arctic, Antarctic. Third pole is the very important in terms of surface water, groundwater and other aspects, and there is a nowadays they call it as AHA, that is Arctic, Himalaya, Antarctic. If you talk about the international level, they are talking in terms of these interactions between these and also all our records. If you do the ice cores of Arctic, there is a teleconnections between the monsoon and the Arctic ice cores. So, there is a direct link between our third pole and the Arctic. So, a lot of research has been done to link the past records, and also we are now involved in the IODP, International Ocean Drilling Program, to find out the past monsoon in several 10,000 years and so or so, to find out the impact and how it is shifted from the Karakoram to Himalayas in this in the recent past, the monsoon. So, all these things is very important, because without Himalayas no monsoon, because otherwise it will cross India and go to. So, everything is dependent upon the Himalayas, and the orographic control, that is the main thing, that is so we have to change it, something changing. So, just I want to highlight the importance of this third pole. So, very few people are working, and very reliable models available on the westerlies and the western disturbances and the Indian monsoons. So, we need lot of people to come into the modeling, glacial studies, glacier modeling, linking the hydrological model with these things. So, that is the purpose of this presentation also. So, this is, you know very well that we are depending upon the fresh water, even though a lot of water is there, and the water is the evaporation is the main driver of our Indian monsoon. The temperatures is the main important role. So, ultimately all these saline water also to be converted into fresh water for our utility. So, one of the important thing is that ice caps and the glaciers. So, ice caps we also have some permafrost and some ice caps in the Karakoram Hindu Kush region, and glaciers, of course 10,000 glaciers we have in the Indian Himalayas, and totally around 20,000 glaciers are there, Tibet, Karakoram, Hindu Kush regions, and hardly when compared to the Tibet and the Nepal and Karakoram studied in India to link to the climate model and past glaciations. So, that is the purpose of this, because I worked on the ocean coastal also, now I am working on the glaciers. So, there is a direct link between these two. You know very well that the flow of water, that is ecological flow or environmental flow, whatever flow you call, the flow is very important for the faunas and floras, and then for the survival of the coastal ecosystems like lagoons, mangroves, estuaries, mudflats, corals. So, the flow has to be there from Himalayas to the Hooghly, Coorg to that of the Pumbuhar in Kaveri. So, there is a continuous link should be there between the fresh water in the river flow due to gravity from upstream to the downstream. And then the high mountain, I want to stress on this high mountain worldwide, the Hindu Kush HKH. This is a very significant component of this high mountain, that is whatever you call it, is ungorged river basins, high mountain watersheds, eco hydrology, whatever term you call it. but this is a very significant role to play in this subcontinent. And then we have in Asia the Tucson, Andes. Andes are well studied in that, and Rockies are also well studied. Alps is extensively studied for the water resource and glaciers. You will find so many papers in Cryosphere, Annals of Glaciology, Water Resources and Climate Change journals, and Atlas Mountain in Africa, Ethiopian highlands and Rift Valley. This is a very significant the lake formations for all the African countries from Nigeria to the of other regions. So, high mountain regions are very important. And then this is called as the water tower because it stores the water. So, stores means it is like you are on the every year there is a snowfall, there is a winter what do you call it as wet precipitation and solid precipitation. The solid precipitation has been converted into that of the snow to the firn and then to the ice. That means that every year snow has to melt, so that you get the perenniality of the Himalayan system, but 40 to 50% has to be converted into ice. That is like your fixed deposit, remaining will be like your recurring deposits and saving deposits that can be used every year. But some of the fixed deposit you have to leave it for 10 years or 20 years or 100 years. So, that is the glacier, snowfall, fern linkages and the water in these regions. So, that is why we call it as the water tower of Asia, and the largest body because our Indian Himalayas and Karakoram and Hindu Kush are influenced by ISM and ASM and Asian summer monsoons as well as the westerlies. These three are influencing their contributing their moisture and in turn converting them into the stored in volume of water in these regions. So, the largest body of glaciers outside of the polar region, 70% of the mountain area. Glacier supply fresh water, this is 800 now, that is a old one, that is the, and then the highlands are the water towers. More than the half of the humanity relies on the fresh water that accumulates in the mountain areas. Small proportion of river basin, most river flows downstream originates in mountain. As water demand grows, the potential for conflict increases, that is you know very well that within the states, outside the state, and Kosi is a very good example, and also Ganga is a very good example between these three countries, and Kosi is also a very conflict of these things, and so carefully managed in the mountain water resources a global priority. Transboundary groundwater, nowadays we are talking about transboundary movement of groundwater, which is not addressed by us so far in detail compared to that of the European countries and Americans. And then the you know very well when you go to the Himalayas, Himachal or Uttarkashi and all, you will find that how the stakeholders depend upon this, and you might have heard about in the Leh Ladakh, that is artificial glaciers, and then the stupas are made to conserve the small scale glaciers for the local community to survive. And then this is because uneven precipitations in these regions which force them to take some conservative measures in this region. High precipitation levels in the semi-arid and arid regions, only highlands have sufficient precipitation, generate runoff and groundwater recharge, and storage and distribution of water to the lowlands, water from the high altitude via stream network to groundwater aquifers to the lowlands, which a lot of populations you know that besides Himalayas, when you come to the coastal, another 25% is depend on the fresh water from the groundwater and the surface flow. Water stored is the potential hydroelectric, because nowadays you know that the lot of dispute NTPC and which are all doing lot of mining subsurface tunnels they are putting and diverting the water, and one is that, one is economy, another one is the siltation, another one is the local ecological disturbances. So many things are involved in this harvesting the water in the upstream regions of the Himalayas, and a lot of companies are coming into the smaller scale micro hydroelectric projects are coming. Even in our work we are doing in Himachal, we are observing, and then recently the Greenpeace activities they have stopped this, and also that is trout fish. Basically it is affecting the trout fish migrations, because you know the trout fish moves when the temperature changes backwards, jump and go back, and these hydroelectric projects are affecting their survival, and that is why nowadays we are not getting trout fish in the mainstreams, we are getting only in the aquacultures in the Manali, and also biosphere resources are also affected because of this micro hydroelectric projects coming. In one way you have to see that economy, other way your ecology, and how to balance it, that is where we need some of the work to be done by the people. And then the biodiversity, this was I told you that is a lot of problem in the biodiversity, and then fragile ecosystems, high rainfall, steep slopes because deforestation, and lot of erosion and siltations, and then storage of water is less. If storage of water is less, then eco-hydrology affected. Eco-hydrology affected means aquifer system and springs are going to dry within 3 months in the regions. And then this is the so many glaciers, you can start from there, you will get it up to this, and then your Sikkim and all is having a glaciers. We have to walk to the 7 days at least minimum from the base camp to reach the snout, but if you go to these regions within 2 days we can reach the snout. If you go to Leh, we can just drive in the car and reach the snout in these regions. It depends upon the locations and influence and how much precipitations, how much is the here because of climate change, temperature rise, it is retreating in a faster rate in this region. And this is another one, the population's dependency on this from the starting from Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan and all those things. If you see that and Pamir mountains, you will get every dependency on this water for this is very high in this and stakeholders and urban and rural populations are living in this region. And if you see that one, this is glaciated regions, how they are changing over the time. So, we are having certainly a changes in the glacier regions, decreasing glaciers area, that is a real concern, whether it is going to be 2035 or not, but there is certainly there is a retreat of glaciers and change in the size of the glaciers and loss of the area. That is how we can see that how these are changing in different regions in India, Pakistan, Nepal, and everywhere you will find that 98 to recent there is a change is there in this region. But most of the compilations of regional level are done by Western people. We are only just supporting that local scale. We have to come up with a large regional scale studies, regional models that is missing in our Indian side. That is even Nepal and Tibet, if you see, Chinese are doing very well in the regional modeling and regional water resources, and in India we are yet to come up to that level in these regions. So, irrigation is widespread in both the Indus, you know that there is a dispute in the Kashmir to that of the Pakistan, and lot of snowfall, they just go by the amount of snowfall received in the Indian side, how much we are treaty, Indus treaty, how much water is going there. They say always this that we are not releasing enough water to them, but if you see that we are getting a snowfall at a stretch, not at a regular scale, regular pace, that is if you are supposed to get to 2 months, we are not getting it. We are getting it within 2 days, heavy snowfall and flood and everything. That is also a problem, how to store and how to release the water and sharing, how can we, because whatever treaty we have done, that is in the long back in pre-independence or after independence, but the amount and intensity of rainfall, the duration of snowfall also decreasing. So, this is I think I cannot see that from here, but you can see that one how much is the glaciated area, how much is decreasing the percentage of melt. This is again the compilation by the remote sensing and the Aphrodite data and all, they try to compare it and make the hydrological model to downscale it, because the problem is we do not have discharge data for Indus Ganges, even though we have, we can't use it. So, ultimately we have to use the indirect methods to find out the, either you use the remote sensing to find out the amount of volume of ice changes, or you use the 1 pixel data and then extrapolate to 1000 pixel data in that region. So, they have done it in this, and then they estimated the how much is the glaciated area in these regions, and if we can see that the so, the areas is Indus is having the maximum area, Brahmaputra is the lesser area, and upstream area is mainly glaciated area is higher in the Ganges basin, and the number of glaciers is higher in the Ganges basin, and the glacier area is total is also high in these regions, and annual precipitation is also high, and then the glaciate melt runoff upstream is also changes in this region. So, overall glacial melt ratio, and it is very in the Ganges. If you see that one, I will show you some of the diagrams. We are going into detail now, modeling and isotope studies to find out the percentage of contribution from the glaciers, ice melt and other things in these regions. So, this is okay, or I have to go there? Okay. And you can see the average potential in the river in this Indus, Ganges and Brahmaputra. So, even if you see the downstream part, if you see the Sundarbans of India and Sundarbans of Bangladesh, you will find that the luxuriance and the pristine nature of the Bangladesh side is very high, because the flow of water is maintained there. Indian side is 80% deteriorated in this region. That is because of this, how this water is allowed to flow from the upstream to the downstream in these regions. And then utilizable flow, that is what we are, big question is that how much we are using it, utilizable flow. In the Ganges maximum we are using the utilizable flow compared to that of Indus, because up to the border only. And then in the Brahmaputra, you know that now the Sangpo, that river Brahmaputra in the Tibet, they are building the dam. Once the dam is I think almost finalized now, the largest dam in Asia. If that is done, I think Brahmaputra will be another utilizable water will be come down to 10 in this region. Once they divert it to the interior part of China, then it will be a big problem to our, then we will not get flood in the Assam and other regions in future after 10-15 years in this area. So, then the perenniality is a big question in this downstream, because if you go to Kaveri, we call it nowadays, we call it as a goat crossing river, because there is no water for more than 6 months. So, this case should not come to the Himalayan rivers in future. Maybe Brahmaputra, I am worried if it is the dam is constructed, it is going to be the goat can cross throughout the, because it is 4 kilometer stretch. That means that there is nothing water, so anybody can cross the river, there is no water in that region. So, another one is the high altitude lakes. This is also very important, that is you might have seen in the movies and other things, very nice pristine in the Leh Ladakh and all 3 Idiots, you might have seen these lakes. So, very high altitude lakes and wetlands, this is very important in Sikkim and other area. If you go, they are having the significant role to play. Lakes, ponds, marshes, we have also done some work in the lakes, and this now we are going to continue the work in the Himalayan lakes, and fed by the glacier or snow from the surrounding mountains. And then the considered as a sacred and natural beauty, a pastured land fringing the wetlands and used for grazing livestock, playing important role in the socio-economic and 90% of the economy, the local nomadic communities near the lakes depends on the livestock of this region. So, you can see that Mantalai Lake in Himachal, and then this is how these lakes, and then you will find the stocks, livestock, and then we have so many important lakes in this, starting from this to Arunachal Pradesh, and a lot of faunas and floras are there in this, and they are endemic faunas like this red panda, and then the wild ass and snow leopards. And you can find that even if you go to the Sundarbans, the Indian side, you do not find the sambas. That is why I think the tiger is coming into the land and eating the people, because it is not having prey. If you go to Sundarban, you will find boars and sambas for just on the Bangladesh side. That is the one reason that if you interfere with that, it will come and attack you. I think that is happening in the Indian side, I hope so. The Ladakh are the only breeding ground for the migratory birds in this region, and bare-headed goose and tourism. So, you will find that even we have thousands of lakes in these regions. In Tibet, maximum lakes are there in these regions. So, they are the storehouse for the water from the snow and during the, especially during the ablation period, summer period, and then recharging the springs and the groundwater. That is very important for that. And the National Wetland Atlas has been prepared for this to conservation and management of this in ISRO, and almost all the Ramsar sites have been brought into that one, and survey has been done. Even the glacier inventory also done by them, and but they have done it in the larger scale in the glacier inventory, but lakes, people say that is very accurate. This inventory is very good for this to understand the lakes in this region. So, this is about the lakes in these high altitudes. This is very important for the day to day activities and livestock and the stakeholders point of view. And you will see that one, there is a high altitude lakes, very large 5,000 hectare and more, up to less than 2.25 hectares is there in that, and altitude wise, because most of our glaciers are above this 4,000 cutoff. So, the glaciers, that is why we are having a problem, because we do not have any meteorological data, we do not have rainfall data, we do not have discharge data to understand the health of the glaciers, because after that there is no lake, we will get only that supraglacial lake, that is leads to the gloughs and landslide induced outburst of the lakes in this region. And then we have this in the different states, how many lakes are there, you will get the Arunachal is the maximum lakes you will be getting. So many scopes for you to people to do research on this, because hardly you will count the people working on the high altitudes by fingers. So, that is why lot of people work in different places, but not in the high altitude regions. In any way you can contribute, either as a modeler or as a hydrologist or as a chemist or anything like that. And then this is one important linking the China and India. This is the lake which comes to our Leh Ladakh region, and the largest Himalayan is the Pahang Tso. It is a narrow spread over the Indian and Chinese territory, and it is a very important length 28.6 meter and perimeter to 247.89. Disruption to the dynamics in the high altitude lakes or wetlands will have to knock on effect, could reach the long way downstream fish population if we do not conserve it, and high altitude lakes be conserved to secure the steady supply of water and to safeguard communities and biodiversities that depend on these freshwater sources. And this is the Ramsar site, that is we have so many Ramsar sites, but how much we are preserving it is a big question, because industrial development has taken up all the Ramsar sites in the coastal regions nowadays, but I do not know high altitude how much time it will take to occupy these regions. And then this is the one we are starting that, because this is very close to our glacier, very interesting glaciers. We are biggest, this is the origin of the Chandra river, which ultimately goes to the Chenab and then goes to the Indus ultimately. So, this is the study we are carrying out, because surrounded by 8 glaciers, and it is very important for fauna, floras, and at around 5,200 meters this glacier we are now studying to understand the past glaciation and the present eco-hydrological system in this region. So, what are the sustainability and productivity of these unique and crucial nature features are become increasingly important. The climate change is the one thing, and then the urbanizations today, when I could not read the paper fully, but the abstract says that the climate change is accelerated by this present pollution, air pollution in this. Krishnan is the author, first author, deputy director of IITM, and then that I have to add it here now, because he has proved it, the monsoons and snowfall is going to be reduced because of this in near future, and insensitive development, easier access, rapid increase in tourism, overgrazing or changes in grazing practice, low levels of awareness at all levels, because we have recently conducted stakeholders meeting from Himalayas. They are very much concerned that the government of India and the researcher are not concentrating on their needs. We are doing something which is not at all concern to them for the day to day life and activities. That is what we got from them, from all the Himalayan states. And then the low level of awareness and deforestation and regulated harvesting of non-timber forest products, difficulties caused by transboundary issues, that is another issue that we are facing. Siachen, for example, the data are very secret, and because India-Pakistan border, largest glacier, even though it is a positive mass balance, we are not able to take the data and compare it with our other glaciers in this region. And this is another issue that conservations, how much we are linked the governmental researchers and the international people as well as the local people to conserve these ecosystems. So, that is becoming a big questions for the regional and scale levels, because RCPs and all we are using, but how far that is going to help without any real validative data in these high altitude regions. And this is some of the work we are working on the 3 glaciers. Now, we are expanding to Leh Ladakh in these regions, and this is the sources for many rivers that I told you, and drinking water and agriculture. And glaciers are important maintaining the heat budget, because short wave radiations and the ground heat, that is a major role to play, and wind speed in the glaciers to find out the energy balance in these glaciers. And this is what we are trying to do. We have done one aspect on glacier point energy balance, but it is not enough. We have to do for the regional scale. We need to have expertise in these regions to do that. We are working on this, and albedo is changes are due to your pollution also and other things. So, melting will raise is it because it may be good for Arctic and Greenland and other regions, but for Indian Himalayas maybe we have to travel 2000 kilometers to reach the sea level rise, but your the thermal expansion will certainly cause the sea level rise from the Greenlands, and calving effect of this Arctic and polar regions, that is also we are trying to do now. One of our students is now there for 1 year in the Antarctic, we try to compare with that with the Indian system in these regions. So, climate and glacier changes are very much interrelated, and then the which is lead to, that is what any change in the long term temperature and precipitations, it is going to affect the health of the glacier and dynamics and movement of the glaciers, and landscape changes and evolution, ecosystem changes and local climate changes. So, the glacial recedes, what will happen? River flows and floods, that is what we are getting in the Kosi and other things, gloves and cloudburst, or due to the melting of these glaciers. And crop yield, what is happening in the east and southeast is decreasing, and also the apple productions and all, you might have seen lot of reports coming that unseasonal rain is affecting the apple productions in this. And then we are trying to see the glacier changes among the clearest signals of ongoing warming trends existing in nature. A simple throughout the model, that is what we are working on this now. We are not expertise in the regional model, but we are contributing to the energy balance, mass balance and glacial response, and we are also going to next step geological record, and then to find out the gain and vast, and then we will go back to the, we are working with the climate modelers now to find out the RCPs, and then to find out the 5 kilometer level, can you do it or not for a small basins in Himalayas. So, this is the, I told you the scope for this and influence of this westerlies plus Indian summer monsoon plus Asian summer monsoon. So, this is this all depend upon the precipitation coming from moisture coming from different sources, and then it provides 800 million people the effect of all these things. And then the Rainan Srivastava documented that around 9500, but hardly 10 glaciers we are monitoring in India at present, including your I think theory group also doing one is in the Sikkim. Now, we are also working with them on one of the projects with the theory group. That is it really alarming rate or not, because we do not have the answer till date, because only smaller glaciers we are studying it. And also lot of work has been done to understand how much is coming from the glacier melt, how much is from the rain, how much from the permafrost, snow, and in the snow and the arid regions of Leh and Ladakh. So, people have estimated based on the field observations and isotopes and the watershed modeling in that region. So, it is not the new thing, but only thing we are doing it in a smaller scale, unless until with larger scale, that is not going to be useful for planners in our country. So, this is another famous diagram you might have seen, like you are retreating of Gangotri by George Kaiser, and this is telling that most of our eastern Himalayas and western Himalayas are imbalanced, because lot of loss of mass is going on in this region. That is why our data, if you see that Chota Shigiri has been taken here for comparison purpose. This is what we are doing from 2000. This is one of the glacier monitored every year in Indian side, which is taken in the World Glacier Monitoring Service in this region, and you can see the gaining masses in the Karakoram, that is Siachen and other things, that is all in the healthy conditions compared to that of the central Himalayan. That means the water resource, what is going to happen, since there is an imbalance in the volume and the mass balance, what is going to happen in the future. And you can see the model also, IISc has developed a model, Indian Institute of Science, and you can see that there is a change in the loss of masses in most of the models. They predicted they use a CMI PM5 multi-model. This is the first modeling work done for the Indian side. We need to have more work something like this to do that. They have taken it from the baseline data of the glaciers. That is the speciality of this work. All the ground level data are taken into for validations, and then they develop this paper, and this type of work is needed for the Indian side. So, they found that 10 to 27% of the glaciers could face eventual disappearance by the end of a century doing RCP 2.6, RCP 8.5. They use the different models in this one, and this Bala is one of the expertise available now to link the glacier modeling with that of the climate models in this region. So, this type of work, that is what I am telling, that we should youngsters should try this and then do it in the future. And then this is this is what the problem, because most of the data we available for the field is for a short period of time. So, how to make it link, fill up the gap and develop a model for long term, because we are talking about 40 years, minimum 30 years for a climate change. So, how to link all this missing data to find out the model. That is what we did with the geodetic modeling and degree day model, but that is only on a smaller scale. But if you have to do it, this is what this paper tried to link it in these regions. From this data, missing data, they try to fill up this in this region. So, this is what from our papers, that is also, I should also say that we are also learning it through the international collaborations, but we have to do it our own in future. That is what we are trying to do that. And this is another one that NIH is doing, that to find out the rainfall, discharge and rainfall interrelationship. They told how much lag time is there between the peak discharge and the amount of rainfall receiving in this region. And then they also use the isotopes to find out the how much is coming from the, you can see the Gomukh. You know the Gomukh, how many people know the Gomukh? What is that? Gomukh?
From where Ganga was
Gangotri and Gomukh, what is the difference? Kai gaya, nobody went there. It is a pilgrimage site. People goes there, and what they do? They will go there, and then they have to walk 18 kilometers from Gangotri temple. Okay, Uttarkashi, you have to go to Gangotri temple. From there, you have to walk 18 kilometers on the deep gorges. You can see the deep Ganges flowing, and then walk to the Gomukh, that is called the snout or the nose of the glacier, because Gangotri is the next largest glacier next to Siachen. So, what the people does that, if you go there and take bath and throw all your cloths there and all your unwanted things there, you are cleaned, your sin is, you are purified. So, if you go there, they will in this high altitude, they will throw all their, because once you take bath, you should not wear it again, all those things you have to leave it there, whether it is a puja material or unwanted material or cloths. So, now our the government has told that only 100 people are allowed per day, because earlier 1 lakh people goes and throw it, and what will happen to the Gangotri? We always say that the Gangotri is unpolluted, but when we are, because everything is fine, but it should be to the limit, we should have something like that, because just by throwing our clothes we cannot remove our sin. Sin is always, when you do it, it will continue until your death. So, it is not that we can remove it and say that I am free from all the sins. Now, we have a restriction, 100 people has to get permission first 1 month before, and they are allowed to go, and they are not allowed to throw anything, because you know that sadhus are living there, and lot of meditation centers in the Guha. What is that? Cave, Guha only, no? Gufa, huh? Gufa. Tamil it is Guha, that is what I was telling. So, you find that without any sweater and everything in -20, you will find them doing meditations and then living without food. Once in a day they have food and they will be surviving there in the guhas, in the caves. So, they are there for long time, but now the pilgrimage has started because it is like a tourism. From there you walk to another Shivalinga, that is another glacier is there nearby, it is like a Linka type, and people walk there, and then you will appreciate the people that normal people are walking there in the minus temperature. You will find most of the ladies, old ladies walking in there, and then offering that with the saris and other thing you will find lot of people, but we are going with all dressed up there, and we are really ashamed that we are going with all sweaters and all these things. They are coming with the chappals and only one sticks they are moving, because they are seeing that when you are dedicated, the temperature and high altitude does not matter. It will be coming out of your soul, not from mind is controlling the body temperature, but it was power of religion, yeah, that is true. Power of meditation, power of religion and everything, but the only thing is that we have to conserve the nature also, that is also we have to do. Now it is restricted. The problem is that from 1965 the Geological Survey's report says that with around 1.2 kilometers retreat of Gangotri. So, that is the main big concern now. So, that is what we have to do that, and that is also we try to find out, but always we say that snow melt is the important factor for Gangotri, but only up to certain height. Below that all the monsoon, that is what I want to tell. Monsoon, without monsoon India is going to perish, because even the snow cannot, this is only a what we call supplementary water to maintain the ecological flow during the summer. That is the only thing, but one main thing is your monsoon. If monsoon is failure this year, you see that. So, I can show you from the some of the data, that is in the upstream region Gomukh 56% is coming from the snow melt and glacier melt 41%. So, we go by the isotope studies and geochemical traces. I think he can tell you more on the geochemical traces and rainfall contribution. When you come to the Rishikesh, that will be it will be reducing, the percentage is reducing from the snow melt and ice melt. Monsoon will be more, groundwater flow will be more. That means, after the Rishikesh all are by monsoon. So, for a certain extent glaciers are contributing, for certain most of the stretches it is. So, it is only supplementing your, but it is the important source for your 3 months ablation periods. So, this is work we are doing it, just highlight. It is very difficult to maintain with the money and student, because we need more students, more money to do this. That is the two thing, not like our other research we can manage without money and students, dedicated students. Student means who can live there for 3 months and remaining 7 months they do some work in the lab in that. So, this is the 3 glaciers we are working. This you will find in the world glacier monitoring. Only 2 glaciers in India are in the report, every year report. One is the Hamta glacier by Geological Survey of India, another one is the Chota Shigri glacier from the J.N.U group, and this is the Pachio. This is another one we are working with the SASE. You know the SASE Institute, SASE in Manali and Dehradun. No, snow and avalanches. Heard about that institute? Defense. We are working with them in this Pachio, and Stoke glaciers, because this time we got Stoke glaciers, we got a student from Leh. Once we are getting student, we will develop our program. That is why students are the backbone of our research for the field oriented subjects. So, they are going to work, and in these regions now we got a good 2 students from there, and these are the work we are doing. In the Hindu Kush, any validation is done by our data. We are also trying to develop a model and we did the surface energy balance, snow melt water chemistry. This is my old expertise, still I am continuing that biogeochemical aspects, and then we are developing a SWOT model for these regions, but still it is we are not coming out with a good output in this region. And reconstruction of mass balance, this is what we done to find out the past climate and temperature, because we do not have data, we have to rebuild it from the geodetic and the degree day models. And then the ice flux, this is one of the challenging job, we are doing it now with GPR ice flux, which is going to tell us volume of stored in water in the Himalayas for the future water conservations, and the micrometeorological data and isotopes. I just procured an instrument from BARC to do the analysis in the field to do that. And this is the glacier, this is the accumulation zone, and this is the tributary, and this is the stakes. We are every year go 4 times a year and then do it observations in this region. And this is the benchmark glacier, we call it as a benchmark glacier, because there is a classification by the World Glacier Monitoring Service, Vienna. This is and this is the data, the longest data we get it, the positive and negative mass balance in these regions. So, that is what I told you when I joined J.N.U, I was forced to join the glaciology group. Now, I am enjoying the work, because I am a coastal man and groundwater man. Now, I am enjoying the job of doing that with the, because of the good output we are getting and good recognitions we are getting from the students. So, that is why we are doing it now, and 12 years mass balance, and we estimated this, this is the only validating data you can get it, and this is what I told you, we did it for 40 years, and then using the degree day model and geodetic model, and then the slight positive mass balance or glaciers was in equilibrium conformed to the geodetic. And this is the ELA, because above this there is a accumulation, below this there is a melting. So, we did 10 years it is not shifting around these regions. Earlier it was 4,900, now it is 200 meters we are having fluctuation, that means the climate is still, or some imbalance is there in the glaciers in this region. So, we are also trying to identify some models, we are working with some IIT to find out the debris effect on the melting temperature and how it is going to affect the mass balance of this in this region. Yes, sir, Calcutta and IIT Mumbai, they are helping us in this. And then we are also trying to do the depth volume, but this is only preliminary study. One of the PhD students were very much interested. So, we borrowed the GPR from France and did this work, and we could get some of the idea about how much volume, how much is the depth of the ice in these regions by surveying the 4-5 locations, but we have to do lot of work in these regions. So, this is how we this is not done by me, I am only a guide, we are only mentor, only the people work there in that installations and harsh conditions, but we go there, but we do not do the physical work, they will do the physical work. And this is how our field stations maintain at 5,000 meters. So, we go it, we walk up to 6,200 meters from there, and this is the snout. I told you the Gomukh, it is not Gomukh, it is Chota Shigiri, but Gomukh you will find the 200 meters biggest snout in the Indian side is the Gomukh.
This is in Spiti.
Huh?
This is Lagul.
Yeah, Lagul Spiti, Himachal. This is Chota Shigiri glacier. We are in the Spiti valley in these regions. This is how the glacier starts from there. This is the connectivity ends in the, after that it becomes meltwater in this region. So, we have to walk from here, our base camp will be somewhere there, and then we have to walk another for that.
This time of the year do you go?
No, we cannot go throughout the year because of the, we do not have permission first from army. Second one is that skiing and snow scooter we cannot buy. Only during the May or June, when the army open the road, Rotang Pass, then we can go there, and then we have to put our camp and then cross the gorges and all, and reach the lowest base camp, then middle camp, then we have to go to the upper camp in these regions. So, this is also we do that, in the downstream region, because we have to do hydrological model. That is the one expert we had, now he has gone to NIH Roorkee. So, that is the model, the paper is going to come, how to link with the mass balance and hydrological mass balance models. That also we do it because it is integrated. When you once you are there, we have to do lot of things, because it is a lot of money you spend, should have maximum data from that region. So, this is also we are working on, this is our old expertise, but still we continue that weathering and contribution from anthropogenic sources to the chemistry, and this is how that we are working with learned from these people, collaborators, because it is a new subject for Indians to start with. Now, I hope that after 5-10 years we will do our own, but main supporter is DST. Without them we cannot do anything, because they are the supporting me from 2002 onwards, even though I am new to the glacier. But other people joined when we are doing some work. Of course, people will come from other group to join with you to develop some models, develop some base models and all. These are the some short snapshot view I want to give to you, because we need to attract people to work on this region in near future, either in the modeling or in the hydrology or in the isotope or in even your they are nowadays working on the Indian Institute of Economics Delhi. They are also working now to link the climate model with the economic model. So, it is not that it is a standalone research is not needed here. We want a multidisciplinary, multi approaches to address the issues in these regions. This is what I want to talk to you. If you want to ask anything, I will be happy to interact with you.